Time for our next fireside chat. This is with Ashutosh Pandey, VP Project Management Quality and Process at Eutelsat Group. And we're looking into those all-important sustainability strategies that are affecting the cloud and 5G industry. Thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
Hi there. Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. Very pleased to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to share my views in this fireside chat.
You're very welcome indeed. Very welcome indeed. And the issue of sustainability strategies in this particular area is so key. A lot of the conversations we've been having today have revolved around AI, 5G, cloud, the interaction between all of them. And obviously that requires an awful lot of power, that requires an awful lot of computing capacity, and there's obvious sustainability strategies that have to be linked into that. So we'll start with a little bit of context first if we can. And that is, how can the cloud and 5G industries help become more sustainable for you?
Well, I think just to start from the scratch before we go into sustainability, so just to re-emphasize the operational definitions very clearly. So what exactly are we referring to when we say cloud computing? And if we always refer to the term which has been coined by AWS, so we say that we are talking about computing services, which includes servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence all over the internet, and which is supposed to offer us faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. And on the other side, when we talk about 5G, it's a fifth generation of cellular technology, and which is meant to have better speed, more reduced latency, and improved flexibility of wireless networks. So with a theoretical speed of 20 Gbps, which was, if you compare to the 4G LTE, that was 1 Gbps, so that's a big delta. Now, when we talk about sustainability, we have to also look like these two elements, how they help the industries. Because one, the 5G networks, they are virtualized. They are different to what we normally did in a 4G LTE environment. They are more software driven, and they are able to exploit cloud technology. And that's where the strong interlink happens, and which becomes a key factor in improving sustainability. And similarly, when the organizations, they move from a traditional on-premises hardware-based equipment and services to a cloud-based, we can forecast a decrease in carbon emissions by almost 80% or more. And these cloud services, they offer more advantages in terms of performance, scalability, reliability, while reducing energy use, the overall energy capacity. So this is how we can talk about more sustainability impact to industries using 5G and cloud.
When it comes to the challenges of using 5G and cloud, when it comes to having sustainability strategies associated to them, what are the biggest challenges you see in making sure you get the most impact and most effective usage?
If I have to suppose to list the key challenges, the first one I'll talk about is in terms of the environmental issues. So these are like how we talk in the 5G environment, in the telco space, the telco infrastructure, the tower companies, the way that we manage our sites, how do we take care of the environmental footprint there? So that's a big challenge. In terms of the overall energy usage and the end-to-end carbon impact, we are talking about in terms of how much spend do we pay. For example, the electricity usage in clouds, because we are talking about servers, data centers, we are looking about advanced cooling systems, how do we manage it? So all these consume at the end of the day a lot, or I'll use the term humongous amount of energy and electricity. So that's a big challenge. How do we manage that in future? And how can we lower these energies? How can we lower these footprints? And so these are some of the challenges that we have to deal on a day-to-day basis. And every time we come up with a new 5G solutions or a more efficient way of cloud computing, we have to take it forward.
Yeah, I think humongous is a technical for this situation. Talking about lowering energy use and the carbon footprint, how important is it that the strategy for whatever the technological progress is goes hand in hand with the sustainability considerations that come with it?
I think it is very important because I think you have used the right terminology when you say technology. So if I can give example, for example, in the 5G, when we talk about new RAN solutions, so we are looking at how can they lower the energy consumptions. And if I take example of some of the new RANs, open RAN solutions, and some of the massive MIMOs that we have deployed on site, so they help in reducing the overall energy level by a lot more percent than the traditional RAN solution that we have. So that's one good example. And similarly, when we talk about cloud networks and databases servers, in those kind of scenarios, how can we provide more cooling? How can we have those constant renewable sources of energies as an alternative, which can work in a hybrid situation together with the traditional electricity and power-based solution that we have to have more sustainability impact. So I think these are the two key technology-related things which I can point out when it comes to ensuring that we have more sustainability in these facing these challenges.
Make it hard for companies in the sector to adopt sustainable practices. Are there any other blockers that you feel there are?
Oh, well, it's like I'll say that, we have all been there, to be honest. And many of the time in the organizations, and I'm talking specifically not only to the traditional industries or the customers to the cloud network solutions, but also the companies who are at the forbearing all these, like the traditional telcos, we have the new the satellite communication industries that we have, the IT, the opcos, operating companies that we have, as well as the tower infra companies. So most of these companies deal with what we call as integrated legacy systems, which then help or which have been creating a lot of complex but customized customer solutions, which make it very hard to change when we are moving from one technology to another. And also we have seen, and I don't want to actually name, but a lot of time we have seen that even if we have the way to go, but there is organizational inertia, which kind of stops or makes us get late to the party.
When it comes to finding solutions, let's move on to that now. How can companies innovate within the 5G and cloud space while still staying sustainable? Because I guess there are challenges involved there when you're trying to push the boundaries in terms of technology, in terms of innovation, but there's knock-ons when it comes to sustainability off the back of it. How do you go about balancing the two?
Thank you for that. I think that's a very important point that you have raised. And like I mentioned, that innovation there, especially in the 5G and cloud, I think like the example I took specifically for the RAN solutions in the 5G. So how do we get the new radio solution, the new RAN solutions, more optimized, more sustainable, more energy saving, and most importantly, they should help reduce the total cost of ownership for the end users and our customer operator companies. Similarly, in terms of a CNS or a cloud network solutions, how do we have more reusable cloud storage systems? How do we have more sustainable designs which can be reused? And most importantly, in terms of energy, because then energy systems, they are helping in both in cloud and 5G. How can we have these sustainable energy solutions? How can we design it so that we are able to reuse and also have a more say or a more way for the renewables coming into place and have more hybrid kind of, in some cases, we can also go for some battery pack and some solar, and that's a very good example that we have been doing in the RAN solutions in the 5G. In many of the countries, the sites, so they are being simultaneously used as solar sites with the so they are generating the energy, so which are making those sites self-sufficient in energy. So they are not relying on the traditional power stations to extract energy, but they become self-sustainable. So these are some of the examples which I believe need to be more replicated across. And similarly, when we have big servers, they also have the renewables and solar systems which can help in solve their energy crisis.
For you, how important is it though that the measurement of sustainability metrics it's handled incredibly well, I guess, within the project management space for you?
I think it's
I'll leave that
very important, because it's like I come from a Lean Six Sigma background, and for me it's very simple that if you cannot measure, you cannot improve. As simple as that. So you can have a lot of stuff coming in, but unless you put exact KPIs, and most importantly, you integrate those KPIs to the company's performance, you will not be able to track. And that has to be run in a very old-fashioned project management way, that you are tracking all the levers, what will impact, and all the sustainability levers. And I think one good example, or rather say one benchmark and the baseline that everybody can refer to these days, is the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, so which most of the organizations have signed up to. And as part of our obligation to that, when we publish our annual sustainability report, we must report the progress on how well we have managed on those 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And those are very quantifiable, very manageable KPIs, which actually give all the direct levers to push and ensure that your sustainability is measured with the right track, and most importantly, they are linked back to your annual profit. So that becomes a complete measurable package, and I'll say that it's project manager's dream, but it must be executed in a very well execution manner.
Yes, you can always tell when someone is genuinely passionate about a particular subject there, so you can definitely see that. Let's talk about partnerships if we can here, because how can they help make 5G and cloud more sustainable? How important is it that you work with experts or partners or other organisations to help grow your own sustainability practice within this space?
I think that's a good point that you have raised. And what brings to my mind here is the shared ecosystems. And we are talking about organizations across telco, IT, who can work together to create a shared ecosystem for both 5G solutions as well as cloud solutions, working cohesively. A good example is the kind of partnerships that we have seen in the past with the industry leaders like Ericsson, Nokia, Amazon, and Microsoft working together to create a kind of a shared ecosystem so that everybody benefits. And similarly, we end up developing these compatible softwares which can be used across a plethora of organization industries when they are developing and scaling up the cloud network services. So I think these are some of the good example that we have. And one more thing that comes to my mind is the sharing of hardware equipment. That is very important. And a good example that I'll share here is again, in terms of sustainability, is the satellite telecommunication industries, how they are extending the existing tower core infrastructure that we have been having with a cellular backhaul case using satellites. So that's using the same hardware equipments, but providing additional scalable services via satellite. So these are good examples where you have these different industries, different organizations coming together to create the vision of future together.
One thing I'm always particularly keen to hear are examples, case studies, strategies that you've been following in particular to help boost your sustainability sort of credentials and performance, I suppose. Are there any you'd want to share that you're particularly proud of?
I think from my own side, the example which I just gave you. So I was myself involved in that satellite telecommunications, cellular backhauling that we are doing with many of the towerco companies in Europe, Asia, as well as Africa. And we are starting it as an example. How do we use the existing infrastructure, use cellular backhauling to integrate it to the satellite infrastructure providers to ensure we have connectivity as a more remote places. So that is one example I'm particularly very passionate and very proud about what we have done recently. And another example which comes to my mind is from a 5G point is the edge computing. So that's where where the networks are able to provide both speed and innovation together. And they reduce the need for hardware equipment. So that is one of the examples that I was very closely involved in one of my previous organizations. And we had a very successful rollout and also setting up the private 5G networks, especially in the oil and gas and in some space satellite stations together. So these are the good examples where we use the sustainable approach to have a very cost-efficient, cost-effective, as well as long-term usage of these technology together.
Yeah, that's an excellent example. Where I want to take things next is looking to the future, really. I think the amount of scrutiny, the amount of analysis there is on sustainability performance within our industry is only going to keep growing. Do you feel that pressure to a degree? Do you feel there's going to be increased scrutiny as we go forward to make sure everyone is pulling their weight when it comes to their sustainability performance?
Of course, they will have to. And like I mentioned earlier, that we are all signees to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and all the big organizations and the countries, they will be tracked on their commitment to sustainability. So this is something that we cannot run away from rather. And we have to ensure that whatever we are doing in our organizations, and especially when it comes to strategies, they are closely interlinked and integrated to these sustainability plans, because we have seen some examples in the recent past where there have been organizations which on one part they have been saying that we have got new technology, we are focusing sustainability, but on the other side they have not been integrated. So they were like two parallel things running together, but there was no integration. So we cannot actually see the scale of impact. We cannot see what exactly is the overall technology improvement that happening in this area. So that's why these things need to work together. And I guess we have to also look from the future perspective. A lot of things are coming in, like I mentioned, the edge computing is there. We have the cost-effective RAN solutions, which will bring down both the energy as well as the cost usability, and the AI-enabled chipsets that we need for better energy management solutions in the data centers. So that will all has to work hand in hand to ensure that we have a very cohesive and integrated ecosystem where everybody benefits and everybody becomes a partner in this entire sustainability initiative.
You mentioned a couple of the newer and more emerging technologies there that can make an impact when it comes to sustainability. Are there any other emerging technologies you feel could really help make a difference in this particular field?
I think they are evolving as we talk, and I shared some which have been publicized, and I was a bit careful not to share which are still under testing. So I can say that there will be new streams that you will be hearing soon, especially from the world of the telco and the satellite telecommunications, which will be made more public in the coming months, and also the ones which have got more public recently is the AI-enabled chipsets, and I think everybody would have been hearing about the DeepSeek as well as the NVIDIA, which is there. So you would understand the impact of being cost-effective in these cases.
And I think AI is something that we've not really touched on too much. Do you think there is potentially a risk of thinking AI can solve everything? We have to be very realistic about the use cases for AI in this field to make sure
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think this is something that we have to take step by step and use case by use case approach, because this is not like a paint by which we can, color the entire canvas. So we cannot have that approach. So especially in the field that I represent, that is the satellites and the telco industries. So we take it case by case basis. We say, where is AI helping us solve our immediate problem? Where is it helping us solve our issues by being more efficient, by being more effective, and we try to tackle that before we go on solving the world hunger kind of problems, to be honest.
And where I'd like to finish really is with a bit of advice really. So from your perspective, what should companies within this field be doing now to make sure their cloud and 5G plans really stay sustainable long term?
I think what is most important is the organizations. They first of all need to have a plan for sustainability. So we have to move away where sustainability is more like a check in the box kind of scenario. But it's actually, what do you want to benefit by being sustainable? Do you actually understand the impact? Because once you do that as an organization, you start creating your strategy around sustainability. You start creating your plans, and you start integrating your activities and your operational plans and your financial results with that. And then everything comes in as part of your sustainability report. It's measurable. You see the P&L impact. And unless you do that, I think we have to be careful that it doesn't become like, just a new fad. So you actually have to believe that this is going to make an impact, and then you need to create that momentum. You need to create that use cases which actually proves that the business case is successful and is ready for future, or what we call as future-proofing your failures with sustainability.
What I think is so important, what you're just saying there is, there is a degree of old school in there. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And even with the most advanced technology, you've got to have those measurables. Absolutely. Okay, Ashutosh, thank you so much for joining us here at Cloud and 5G Live. Really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I wish everybody a good day. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. A pleasure.